Well, sadly, our 2 months in the Philippines has come to an end.
So sad. I really liked it here.
But lucky for you, I love keeping track of every single penny we ever spend. So today we're going to be going through exactly what we spent 1 month living in the Philippines.
We actually spent 2 months in the Philippines, but in this video we're going to be breaking it down just by 1 month because it makes a little bit more sense. And by the end of this video, we'll be giving you a daily average for traveling in the Philippines.
So before we break down exactly what we spent, I'm just going to give you an overview of the 30 nights we're going to be talking about in this expense report. So we spent 5 nights in Manila on Luzon Island. We spent 3 nights in Siquijor, 6 nights on Bohol Island, 7 nights in Cebu, 7 nights in Palawan, and 2 nights in Coron. And this is not including our private island stay in Coron because that was a collaboration. So this is the total of 30 nights that we're going to be talking about in this video. So for those of you that don't know us, we're Eric and Sarah to start off with, but also to give you kind of an idea of what kind of travelers we are. We're not budget travelers, we're obviously couple travelers. We kind of call ourselves medium budget travelers. We will always offer DIY adventures just because we like it better, but we're never sad to book a private tour if that's going to give us the best experience. We don't stay in hostels, but we're also not super bougie accommodation people. We're kind of in the middle of all these things.
Sounds about right. We're also digital nomads, so there are certain comforts and amenities and just sort of non-negotiable things that we like to have when we travel. And for this video, we've partnered with Safety Wing, who is creating a global safety net for travelers and digital nomads like us, and we can tell you a little bit more about that later in the video.
All the prices in this video are going to be based in USD for simplicity, even though we're Canadians.
Yeah.
Most people know how to convert USD to their own currency, so we're just going to base it off that. And it will be based on 2 of us until the very end when we'll break it down per person. So let's get going.
Let's get into this.
Starting with accommodation.
Okay, so our accommodation ranged quite a bit throughout the Philippines. I would say we kind of spent sometimes $20, sometimes $60. So we kind of met in the middle at around $41 per night.
Yeah, our total for the month came to $1,226.
And 41 cents. You can't forget the 41 cents.
41 cents. Yeah, big deal.
You said to the cent.
So yeah, it ranged a lot depending on where we are, but it fell around $41 a night, which is not too bad actually.
That's right.
Next up, we have activities, and this was surprisingly low actually for the Philippines. We only spent $446.83. So that was about $15 a day for both of us, and we were pleasantly surprised by how many DIY adventures there was you could do in the Philippines.
I mean, if you've seen any of our videos, we did a ton of stuff.
So many.
Lots of different things. Most of the things we did on our own.
And there was a lot of things you could do very easily, or just even renting snorkel gear. I mean, we did do private boat tours on a couple islands, so that's where some of those costs come in. But we were pleasantly surprised by how many things there were you could do outside of nature in the Philippines without paying that much money.
That's right. And you can't talk about travel expenses without talking about transportation. Now, we were actually very surprised by the transportation costs in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's probably the most shocking number for us. We spent $746, which is an average of $25 a day, which might not sound like a lot when you base it off a day, but that definitely adds up. And this is because everything in the Philippines is an island, which is obvious. But if you want to explore between the islands, that means you need to take some sort of transportation. So every ferry we took costs about $30. And then flights for longer distances cost anywhere from $50 to $250. Yeah. So it's not really that individually these things are all a lot, but if you're only spending a few days in a place, that means you're taking a ferry or a flight at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And that adds up a lot more than taking buses, for example, around a country.
For this, I just want to make one note. Our most expensive flight was from Coron back to Manila. And it was it $250
I think
each? So it cost us $500 just to get back to Manila, which I thought was wild.
It was a lot. Now, that being said, we booked pretty much nothing in advance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we booked our flights a couple weeks in advance, but not that far in advance. So you could definitely look for seat sales. We just kind of like going with the flow and seeing how we feel.
Totally.
But you could definitely book flights in advance. It just kind of limits you and traps you into your travel plans are what they are then.
But maybe you like traveling like that.
Maybe you do. Maybe you're a normal person.
It's not our thing.
Not like us. But just be prepared that if you move around the islands, you're going to be spending a lot on transportation. And if you just stick to one island, you'll probably spend a lot less because you can just take buses instead.
Next, let's talk about our general travel expenses. So these are things like our kind of necessities and comforts that I was talking about earlier that aren't necessarily day to day, but things that we just spend on each month. So these are things like our SIM cards, which we'll be kind of diving into in our next video, our laundry, or like our sunscreen, which needs to be added in here because sunscreen is expensive in the Philippines, and our travel medical insurance from Safety Wing.
Now, we do not travel without travel medical insurance because we just love knowing that we're covered for emergencies. And we love that Safety Wing offers a Nomad insurance that not only covers us for medical emergencies if we have some sort of accident or we need to go to the hospital, but it also covers any sort of travel emergencies we have if we lose luggage or we have a trip delay or some sort of natural disaster. And this actually happened to us in El Nido. If you watch that video, you know that it was super windy when we were there. And actually, when we were supposed to be going to Coron, all of the ferries for pretty much 3 days were canceled because it was so windy and so stormy. And with our Safety Wing travel insurance, we were able to get that extra night and the difference in the cost of our flight covered because it was out of our control. And if you're a full-time digital nomad, Safety Wing also offers Nomad Health, which compared to Nomad Insurance, which is primarily focused on emergency incidents, Nomad Health is a fully equipped health insurance that includes access to routine and preventative healthcare, mental health, and complementary therapies. So if you're planning on traveling or traveling already, you should definitely check out Safety Wing, and we have a link in our description.
Now comes probably one of our more embarrassing costs. I feel like whenever we travel, we usually do very well with like making our own food and stuff. So our groceries while in the Philippines, we didn't get a lot. We didn't get a lot of groceries. There's not a lot of places with kitchens. It's hard to find like proper groceries that we are used to like making. Like there's lots of stuff that we could have made that were like Filipino meals, but we didn't know how to make those. And there's also just a lot of good food for eating out. So we spent $130.25 for a month.
Which comes to about $4 a day on groceries. And I'm pretty sure probably $2 a day of that was Gatorades.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which, following that up, that means our eating out bill was $811, which comes to $27 a day, which is for both of us, so it's still not that bad.
Still pretty good if you consider like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, but definitely way more than we typically eat out, but we were just eating all the good food, so no regrets.
No regrets.
And alongside that, we have drinks. We actually only spent $35.99 on drinks, which is $1 a day.
$1.
Not bad
Good
at all.
for us. So our monthly total for 1 month in the Philippines, Eric and Sarah's Big Filipino Adventure 2024, came to $3,641.71.
Woo!
Yeah.
And so if you break that down per person, it's $1,820 per person for the month. So compared to our previous cost of living videos we've done in Mexico, this is definitely more. But if you've realized through this video, we're also talking about moving places a lot quicker. Our cost of living videos we've done previously have been where we're in a place for 1 solid month. So you obviously spend a lot less on accommodation and transportation and that kind of thing. So I'm curious to see as we make more of these videos, as we maybe have a variety of other ones where we're traveling around countries instead of just in one place, if this will be more of our normal average or whether it'll be in the middle. I don't know. I'm still happy with it. Time will tell.
Yeah. So as I said earlier, we're going to kind of break this down to an average daily budget for traveling in the Philippines. So our average is about $121.39 per day, or $60.70 per day per person, which I feel is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think like if I think about actually just like traveling anywhere, $60 for all of that has been, I feel like that's like right on the money.
Now, I do have to add that it is often cheaper traveling because we can split things between two of us. So accommodation, you're splitting between two and all these other things. And we actually found that in the Philippines, traveling with 4 people was kind of the sweet spot when we were traveling with Sammy and Tommy, because if you take a taxi, there's always 4 seats. If you're staying in a place, there's often 2 bedrooms. And so splitting things 4 ways was actually the perfect sweet spot. So I would say that if you're traveling solo, you maybe need to accommodate a little bit more in your daily budget. I mean, if you're doing hostels, you obviously pay only for a bed, but everything else you'll kind of be paying a little bit more because you don't have someone to split it with.
These costs also vary by island, so that just keep that in mind. And Sarah made a wonderful spreadsheet that we can include in the description if you're interested in a breakdown of all the islands.
We hope you found this video helpful. I know it's a lot of numbers and a lot of words from our mouths. But hopefully you like that one.
No, keep going.
But hopefully it just helps you plan your own travels, because I know before we started traveling, it's hard to find information online, especially current information about what people are actually spending, especially if you're not a shoestring budget traveler or a very luxury budget traveler. So we're happy to provide you some information in the middle. Let us know if you like these kind of videos, and maybe we'll continue making them in our next country.
That's right. Thanks so much for watching, and
we'll see you in the next one.
bye.
Shotty.
2 hands.
No, bye. Sorry, why are you gonna say this?
You just said so much. I have one line. Oh, it's your spreadsheet now.
Oh, did you do anything with it? Did you do the spreadsheet?
I helped you calculate some things.
No, you didn't. You literally didn't do one thing.